Hello friends, welcome to a new initiative of this channel, which is named the Drishti IAS Editorial Analysis. In this program, we will analyze the editorials coming in newspapers like The Hindu, The Indian Express, and others, which will help the UPSC aspirants to develop a better understanding of the topics and the concepts. In this program, our focus will be on three things. Firstly, establishing the linkage between the UPSC syllabus and the content mentioned in the editorial. Secondly, understanding the key points mentioned in the editorial and how to use them in your answer writing or essay writing. Thirdly, to throw light on those concepts or terms which have appeared in the editorial or whose understanding is critical for getting the full import of the editorial. My name is Abhishek Mishra and I am the executive editor of Dristhi IAS Current Affairs Today English magazine. We are hopeful that you will like the program, and going forward I'll be joined by my other colleagues in bringing this program to you. So let us start with today's editorial analysis. So today's editorial is from The Hindu and it is named Step Up. It has appeared on the paper on 1st of April. Now this editorial talks about the citizens' responsibility and they must not hide their travel or contact history as authorities deal with the coronavirus pandemic. So the linkage that we established with the UPSC syllabus, we find that this is again related to the disaster management because it is talking about a pandemic and the government's response to it. So it is in GS3 and it is related to disaster management. Let us look at the key points mentioned in the editorial now. And the first point that the editorial makes is that citizens must not hide their travel or contact history because it is very important for contact tracing and limiting the spread of this pandemic. Again, it says that the government is responsible for testing and treatment facilities, but at the same time, there is a lot of responsibility on the citizens who must share all the relevant details with the authorities because then only they will be able to do the testing and limit the spread of this pandemic. The editorial also talks about the Epidemic Diseases Act 1897, which has been invoked by the authorities and action taken against people violating the lockdown or quarantine conditions. Then the editorial says that the strongest weapon that is available against the pandemic is the citizens being responsible because without citizen cooperation, the authorities cannot control the spread of this pandemic. So it is very important that the citizens act responsibly and share all the relevant details with the authorities. The particular case that this editorial talks about is the Tablighi Jamaat conference that was held on March 13, and more than 2000 people came together at one place while no social distancing norms were followed, and the issue was that most of the people that came were also foreigners. So they were coming from Southeast Asian countries where already this coronavirus pandemic was in full flow. So that was a problem, and now these people have spread into the community, and it has become a major challenge for the government and other health authorities to trace them, track them, and make sure that their contacts are also quarantined to limit the spread of this disease. So editorial says that a hotspot containment strategy in ground zero in Delhi is being followed. Now what is a hotspot? Hotspot is any place where more number of positive cases of coronavirus are found. So it has become a coronavirus hotspot. Then again, ground zero. Ground zero means from where the anything starts developing or spreading very fast. So that is why this place is being called ground zero, the Nizamuddin area in where this Tablighi Jamaat conference was held. So it again says that tracking the people who attended the conference is very critical to stop the spread of this coronavirus disease. And finally, the editorial makes a point that the humanitarian crisis can bring out the best in the people. It can also bring out the worst. But the editorial is positive in the sense that it says that if the citizens take responsibility and understand that pandemic is the enemy and not the authorities who are trying to track them. But on the flip side, there is also an issue about the stigma attached to being quarantined and being found that you have indulged in some kind of socially inappropriate behavior. So the government and the civic society has to be considerate and make sure that no stigma is attached. Even now this Tablighi Jamaat case is turning into a communal issue. So that should be avoided. It should be dealt as a health issue, and all the protocols should be followed, and also the citizens should cooperate in the tasks with the authorities. So this is all about the key points mentioned in the editorial. Now let us look at what other concepts we can learn from this editorial. So in the concepts to learn section, let us have a look at two things which have been mentioned in this editorial. One is the Epidemic Diseases Act, under which the authorities are taking various actions. And the second one is Tablighi Jamaat case. So first of all, let's have a look at the Epidemic Diseases Act. What is it? So the Epidemic Diseases Act 1897 was enacted in the colonial era to control this bubonic plague in Mumbai, and it was coming from outside, that is out of the country, and through the sea route. So this was enacted to prevent social gatherings and to limit the spread of this disease. So it has a very old history. Then it is not that this act has been used for the very first time. It is being routinely used across the country for dealing with outbreak of diseases such as dengue, cholera, etc. And the Epidemic Diseases Act gives power to health officials, but comparatively little less power to the law enforcement agencies, which are now implementing the complete lockdown. And this is the reason why Disaster Management Act 2005 has been utilized to declare this 21-day lockdown. So this act has been now utilized by the central government to declare this 21-day lockdown, because it gives more power to the enforcement agencies, and it also leads to quick policy decisions. So this gives a lot of flexibility to the central government and to the state governments. So that is why Disaster Management Act 2005 has now been used for this 21-day lockdown. Now let us look at the other concept, that is about Tablighi Jamaat. Now Tablighi Jamaat, it is an Arabic for group that propagates faith. So basically it is a Jamaat or a group that is spreading the Islamic faith, and it is like a missionary movement, but it is not a sect in itself. So for example, like we have in Islam two sects, Shia and Sunni. But when we talk about the Tablighi Jamaat, it very much comes under the Sunni sect. Now Markaz Nizamuddin facility, which has been in news, is the global headquarters of the Tablighi Jamaat. And this Tablighi Jamaat movement, the preaching movement, was founded in 1927 by Maulana Muhammad Ilyas in Haryana's Mewat area. And why in Mewat area? In Mewat area we find Meo Muslims, Meos. Now these Meo Muslims follow a syncretic tradition. That means many of their customs and rituals are taken from the Hindu religion. So they follow a very syncretic religion, and that is why this preaching movement, Tablighi Jamaat, was started to bring them into the Islamic fold, to bring them into the puritanical Islamic fold. That it should be pure Islam that they should be following. So this was the origin of this movement. And the members of the Tablighi Jamaat say that it is non-political and committed to nothing more than bringing Muslims into following the Islamic precepts or the Islamic traditions. Participation in Tablighi Jamaat is voluntary, and most members belong to professional occupations. So what is the Markaz? Markaz is not a mosque, but it is basically, it acts as a clearinghouse for these teams of Islamic missionaries. And it's a facility with dormitories. Basically, it's a hostel type of arrangement, and it is actually a transit point where logistics are planned for these missionary teams, and they spread to other areas to spread the teachings of Islam and to bring people back into the fold of Islam. So this is what Tablighi Jamaat is all about, and this was everything for this editorial. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.